So we're in Swansea and I've bumped into Dan from the Voice of Wales. Now Dan, you've been speaking out recently about all issues that are pertaining to Wales. Who are you going to be voting for now in the Senedd elections?
Reform all day long. There's no question. It shouldn't be in anyone's mind any other question, any other party, because people in Wales have seen what Labour have done for the last 26 years. You know, Plaid Cymru have propped them up. You know, they've done it recently again with supporting this budget that they didn't support, which has helped them save their skin. So people have seen what they've got from the Plaid Labour coalition in the Senedd, and no one can say their life has improved. No. You know, you look around and things look, a lot, you know, some shiny buildings and, you know, technology, whatever, but life in general hasn't improved. It's got worse, much worse. You can't afford to do anything. Nice to come to town and have a look at the shops, but you can't afford to buy anything. Because it's just, you know, everything, all the money, any money that comes from Westminster into Wales is ploughed into vanity projects that have no benefit for the local people.
Right, and what do you think Reform would do specifically for Swansea with what they want to do for Wales?
Well, Swansea's been a city of sanctuary for about 12 years. Wales is a nation of sanctuary recently, say 3 years, not voted for anybody. Swansea, I've lived here all my life. I've seen this city change. You know, it's unrecognisable now from when I was younger. And one of the big things for me is the nation of sanctuary, and not just because, you know, if you take race or anything out of it. For a start, we can't support it. You know, we don't have the infrastructure. We can't get hospital, doctors, anything like that at the moment already. But then, you know, the reports that you get from here, you know, you'll see it. You walk around later on, you've got coffee shops. They're lined with men, you know, you could tell, you know, they're not from this area. The reports coming in from school children being harassed, women being harassed. I've got 4 children and they've got to grow up in this city. And the safety element is really concerning. So Nigel said he will end the nation of sanctuary. So hopefully that will trickle down into councils then, and we'll end Swansea being a city of sanctuary as well.
Okay, now the danger we've got now with voting is what happens with Trefelyan. So Reform was so close to getting in, but Plaid tipped them to the post. Do you think that's going to be an issue now across Wales, so that people will vote for Plaid, not because of their policies, but just because they brand themselves as the party for Wales?
No, 100%. That's exactly what's going to happen everywhere. That's what the other parties are doing. You know, I saw Zach Blancy's Green Party put a post out: vote for Greens, stop Reform.
Right.
That's pretty much what, and they're saying it. So, you know, hats off to them for actually saying it.
Yeah.
But that's what Labour and Plaid are doing. They work together. They always work together. So they're going to lend each other votes. It's going to be totally tactical. It's not going to be for any policy that they're implementing, and people are going to be falling for the, you know, if they do fall for the mainstream or Reform racists and all that, and they don't vote for them, they don't actually know what they're voting for with Plaid Cymru, which is really dangerous, because Plaid Cymru, people say, even Reform are saying vote Labour, get Plaid. That's wrong. Plaid are 10 times, a million times worse than Labour with what they want to do. You know, so if people protest vote and vote for Plaid Cymru because they don't want to get Reform in, they have no idea how dangerous that is and what's coming down the road, you know, and they've got children, they've got to look at their future as well.
Now Labour has lied completely about their manifesto. They've basically chucked it out the window and they haven't done anything that they promised the British people. One thing about Reform and Nigel Farage is, he said he was going to get us out of the European Union, and he did just that. Do you think that shows character of what he says he's going to do, he's going to complete?
I'd say so. Obviously, I do have my reservations about Nigel. We did a lot with the Brexit Party back in 2019. We run the South Wales campaign basically for all the candidates, and we worked really hard, tirelessly, and then he stood them all down for the general election to basically clear the way for Boris. Now, okay, if Boris had done the right thing and actually delivered Brexit, then Nigel would have been seen as a right thing to do, but he didn't. So it falls on Nigel. He shouldn't have done it. But now we're in a different time. Maybe that had to happen to get to this point. But I think, you know, ultimately, with Reform, they're saying what people, they're resonating with people. You know, people are fed up of watching, you know, and you know, in Wales, it's a very apathetic place. You know, it's not a voting country. You know, 46% turnout in the last Senedd elections. So you had the majority of the minority running the country with Labour. I think now people are a lot more politically engaged because they're feeling the pinch. And I think with Nigel, the things that he's saying is resonating a lot with your normal working class person.
Right, now the controversial thing is that Nigel Farage hasn't come out with written policies for Wales.
Yeah.
So he's got written policies for the UK, some out of the policy for Scotland, but not for Wales.
Yeah.
What do we do to find out what he wants to do for Wales?
Yeah, he did a really good interview. I can't remember who it was with, but they went through a quick fire round sort of thing, and it was like nation of sanctuary, gone. 20 mile per hour speed limits, gone. And he went through a load of things like that. And they were talking about the Welsh language, because we call Plaid Cymru the Welsh supremacists, because they want, like, I wish I could speak Welsh. I can't speak Welsh. I wish I could. And if there was courses available, I'd probably go out there and learn it if it was free. But when they're forcing people who might not have any interest, and they're trying to kind of dilute the market, if you're a fluent Welsh speaker, that's not going to help you anywhere else, you know, and it's not going to help you really in Wales at the moment. But Plaid Cymru is trying to force that when it's not going to benefit anybody. What Nigel's saying is that, you know, we'll never set targets, but we will offer. So if someone wants to do it, they can. But not everybody wants to do it. So it's about, again, spending money wisely and concentrating on what really matters.
Right, now there's a party that we've been made aware of, a new party called Gwlad.
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
Well, if you are for Welsh independence, that's the party to go for. I have no problem with Gwlad. I speak to quite a lot of the people there, a lot of the candidates. We've interviewed candidates in the past, and they're good people.
Yeah.
You know, they genuinely want Welsh independence and want Wales to stand on its own 2 feet. So, you know, I'm not for Welsh independence. I think we don't have a lot to offer, and we're stronger together ultimately. United Kingdom. But Plaid Cymru say they want to leave the United Kingdom, break up the union. But what they actually want to do is rejoin the EU.
Right. That
is their goal. You know, they say it themselves. They want to rejoin the EU, which isn't independence.
No.
So if there is anybody that genuinely supports independence and wants to see a sovereign Wales, Gwlad is the party to vote for.
Right, and do you want to abolish the Senedd?
Yeah. Go on,
right.
get rid of it. Well, it's just more bureaucracy, innit? It's jobs for the boys. The Senedd, if you just want to look at, okay, 25 years later, was it a good decision? We can instantly look back and say no. You know, the money that's been spent on silly vanity projects, you know, now they're getting more Senedd members, which is going to cost a ridiculous amount of money.
19 million.
It's just crazy. And then they complain that they don't get enough funding for the NHS. Right. Well, no, it's because you're doing stuff like that. Nobody wants more politicians.
Yeah.
And ultimately, how can we be united when we've got a Labour government? I know we've got a Labour government in Westminster as well, but we didn't.
No.
You know, we had the SNP in Scotland, we had Conservatives in England, Labour in Wales. It doesn't sound very united.
No.
You know, that's not united.
Not united.
One central government. Wales done brilliantly when we had the Welsh office, you know, in London. That's all we need. We don't
just
need
representation in Parliament. That's what we need, rather than being divided from them.
Yeah, on paper, devolution sounds good. I would support devolution if it was the Senedd had to mirror Westminster.
Yeah.
And Stormont has to replicate Westminster. So if it's a reform government in Westminster, it has to be reform controlled in Wales.
Sure.
I'd support that because then you've got, you know, collaboration.
Yeah.
Now you've even got the Labour Party in Wales arguing with the Labour Party in England because the Labour Party in Wales is so much more extreme. Well, they're actually acting out what they want to do. Whereas the Labour Party in England, they're trying to play politics. You know, they're trying to please everybody. But in Wales, they're out with it all. You know?
Now, a lot of the parties want to devolve Crown assets to put the money into green energy in Wales.
Yeah.
What do you think about devolving anything to the monarchy in Wales?
Well, you know, I think the green agenda is totally separate.
Sure.
I think the monarchy, there are questions about it now. I like the Queen.
Yes.
I had no problem with the Queen. I think the problem is now is that the monarchy is getting very involved in politics in a very dangerous way. You know, with King Charles obviously very favourable of Islam, and Islam being a direct, I'd say, threat to our culture, our way of life. So if they had stayed out and just did what they needed to do and be the figurehead that they're supposed to be, I'd support the monarchy. It's nice. You know, I like the pomp. I like the tradition. But they are changing.
Sure.
And I think
do you believe that we are a Christian nation then?
Yes, I do. As much you wouldn't think it. Ultimately, you can't argue with the fact that we are because our laws are based on Christianity. Yeah. Our culture, our way of life is based on Christianity. So as it stands right now, because we're not being forced to, you know, pray 5 times a day, wear certain garments or whatever, we are still a Christian country. But, you know, so is Iran.
Right.
And that's my concern is, you know, you look 50 years ago in Iran, 50 years from now in the UK, where's it going to be? And that's the concern because on this trajectory, it's not good. You know,
I think that people don't understand that Islam isn't free will.
Yeah, no, absolutely
It's not choice.
Yeah, yeah.
You are dictated to, whereas Christianity is free will.
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
a choice for
You
every
own your
person.
mistakes. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Do you think that if the monarchy came out in support of being a Christian nation again, do you think that will help Parliament and the policies?
Yeah, that's absolutely what they should do. You know, the Crown, the Queen was the defender of the faith. If you look at the Queen during the war, you know, and all the way through her speeches, it was heavily rooted in Christianity. All for Charles to come out now and change it from the defender of the faith to the defender of the faiths. You know, holding Eid and you know whatever it was in their premises. I can't remember where it was, but it was a really posh place. That they don't do that for Christians. So I think if he did revert back to that and get back to the roots, this is who we are, then yeah, it would help. You know, it absolutely would help. But I think at the moment, every politician in every country, along with the monarchy, everyone's at odds. Everyone's fighting each other. There is no unity. I think Reform are the only people that want to bring back that unity, and they're not going to do it through combining parties. They're going to bring it back through bringing back what we used to know and love. You know, bringing back our values and culture.
Right, so would you recommend voting Reform, not looking at Nigel Farage, don't look at his character or his personality, Reform are the policy-based party for Wales?
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000,000%. You know, you have to. I've posted quite a few times. It's to the point now that I think our children's future depend on it. I don't think we got 5 more years of Labour or Plaid Cymru in Wales.
Yeah.
I think we are already at the point of no return, nearly. If we got 5 more years, we'll be past that point, and then we've got another